Hey all, these are the notes for 3.3. 3.3 is slope of line and rate of change. So when we're talking about slope, we're talking about sort of the rate of something going up over a distance. That's essentially what slope is. Like, think about how steep a hill is, how steep a set of stairs. When we look at slope, what we talk about is the, oh, that's not an R, but it could be, is the amount of rise, how far it goes up or down, divided by the run, how far it goes left or right. So we have this ramp of stairs right here. It goes up 8 feet and it goes over 16 feet in the span they show us. So if we'd reduce that, it's really half. The slope is 1 foot up for every 2 feet over. It's essentially what we do with a slope. We can think about it the same way here. We can think about it with an airplane. So it goes up 500 feet. For every 6,000 feet, it goes across the ground. If we simplify that down, it simplifies to 1 over 12. So it goes 1 foot up for every 12 feet to the right. That's all. This is slope. So when we're talking about the slope of a line, we're talking about a slope of a line that passes through points. There's 2 points. What we need is we need 2 points to find a slope. And what we do is we subtract y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we assume that the x2 minus x1 can't equal 0. If they do, the slope is what we call undefined, and we're going to talk more about that in a second. But what we need is any 2 points. So when we find our 2 points, one of them is 0.2 or 1 and one of them is 0.2. It doesn't really matter which is which. It just matters that you keep them consistent. So if we have these 2 points, the first thing I'm going to do is number them. That's point number 1. That's point number 2. My formula is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. What I'm going to do is take the y from point number 2 and put it in where y2 is, minus the y from point number 1, which is 3, negative 2 minus 3, over the x from point 2, negative 4, minus the x from point 1, negative 1. All right, so on the top, we're going to get negative 5. On the bottom, negative 4 plus, or negative 1, that's plus, so it's a negative 3. So negative 5 over 3 is the same as 5 over 3. So the slope here is 5 up for every 3 over. And that's how we think about them. You pause and try this one. All right, so I'm going to make this point number 1 and this point number 2. So it's going to be 3 minus 2 over 1 minus negative 5. Well, that's going to be 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 minus negative 5 is 6. So the slope of this line through these 2 points is 1 over 6. It goes up 1 for every 6 it goes to the right. Up is the positive direction, right is the positive direction. So let's try this one. Pause, try it, okay? I'm going to number them. I'm always going to number mine. You could always number yours, won't kill you. So I'm going to have negative 3 halves minus 1 half over 2 minus negative 5. Well, 3 halves minus 1 half is just 2 halves, right? So 2 halves is the same as 1. 2 minus a negative 5 is 7. Oh, it's not. Yeah, it is. Okay. Oh, what did I do wrong? 2 divided by 2. Oh, I know what I did wrong. I see it. Once again, this is why we check our work, and I check my work. Negative 3 halves minus negative 1 minus a half is going to be negative 3, and negative 1 is negative 4 over 2. My apologies. So that's going to be the same as negative 2. Oh, my finger started not to work on my screen real quick. So that's negative 2. So the answer here is going to be negative 2 over 7. So it's going to be down 2 for every 7 to the right. That's all. All right, let's try one more. See what happens here. This is 0.1, this is 0.2, 5 minus 0, and negative 1/6 minus 2/3. To make this easier, I'm just going to make 1/6 into thirds, or sorry, oh boy, I'm not going to make 1/6 into thirds. I can't do that. But I am going to make 2/3 into sixths. Negative 2/3, or well, minus, I don't really need that. 2/3 is the same as 4/6. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rewrite 5 minus 0 is negative 1/6 minus 4/6. So on the top, I'm going to get 5. On the bottom, I'm going to get 5/6, and that's crazy looking. So what do I do with that? I can't leave it like that. You can't leave a fraction in the denominator. So what the way to think about this is 5 over 5/6 is really the same as 5 divided by 5 over 6. And when we have that, it's really the same as 5 times 6 over 5. Once we get there, we can cross cancel across the multiplication sign, and it's really just 6. If you wanted to multiply through, it would just be 30 over 5. And if you divided that, you'd still get 6. So in this case, the slope is 6. I think I had a negative somewhere. Yep. So it should be negative 6. And what that means is negative 6 over 1 would be 6 down, or sorry, rise. Yep, 6 down, 1 to the right. All right. So you see where this is going. Let's try a couple more. This one, I have 0.1 and I have 0.2. So let's see what happens. I have 4 minus negative 1 and 2 minus 2. Uh-oh. So I have 5 on top and 0 on the bottom. This is an undefined slope. And what you're going to say, undefined, when you see this. What this is a vertical line. Okay, this is some line like x equals 3. Okay, or sorry, yes, x equals 3. So x is 3 for every y. It's a vertical line. A vertical line doesn't have a slope, right? It's just got rise. It has no run. Let's try that one. Okay, 0.1, 0.2. I'm going to have negative 2 minus 6 over 5 minus 5. You know where this is going already. So that's a negative 8 over 0. And you're going to write undefined. Okay, don't write that it has no slope, because that's not right. Write that it's undefined. All right, let's try a different one. This one says find the slope of the plane. Same thing. The directions are the same. Let's see what happens. So I have negative 2 minus negative 2. And then I have negative 3.5 minus 3.4. So negative 2 plus 2 is 0. Negative 3.5 minus 3.4 is 6.9. So this is not undefined. It just has, like, it's basically like I gave you 0 slices out of 6.9 of something, right? I have 6.9, I gave you none. How much did you get? You got nothing. So this one has no slope. This has a 0 slope. And when we have a 0 slope, we have a horizontal line. Think about flat ground. Flat ground, perfectly flat ground, or like when you're walking on the treadmill, perfectly flat. It's got 0 slope. There's no incline. All right, so then let's see, that's 0.1, that's 0.2. 8 minus 8, negative 5 minus 3, so I get 0 over negative 8. Again, this is a 0 slope. And again, it's a horizontal line. Okay. Okay, try a couple. So there's 2 special kinds of slopes that we need to, oops, where'd it go? That we need to know a little more about. One of them is parallel lines. When 2 lines are parallel, so M is the letter we always use for slope. When we have 2 parallel lines that are not vertical, and vertical lines are by nature parallel, their slopes are the same. So if you get the equations of lines and they have the same slope, they're parallel. For 2 lines that are perpendicular, so remember parallel is like train tracks. They run at the same path, they never cross, they're always the same distance apart. 2 lines that are perpendicular cross at a right angle, okay? So they make a T connection. The slopes of 2 parallel non-vertical lines, one is the negative inverse of the other. So like if the first slope is 3, then the perpendicular line slope is negative 1/3. If the first slope is negative 1/2, the perpendicular line slope is 2. We flip it in the fraction. When we multiply them together, we'd get negative 1. So if the line has a slope of negative 6, the slope of the line parallel to that line, give the slope, find the perpendicular. So for parallel, and I'm always going to write that for parallel, that's what parallel is in my head, that's the symbol. The slope of this line is negative 6/1. The slope of the parallel line is also going to be negative 6/1. They're going to be the same. There's no work to do here. It just is what it is. The slope of the perpendicular line is flip the fraction and change the sign. So I'm going to flip 6/1 to make it 1/6. It was negative, so it becomes positive. For this one, the given line has a slope of 5/3. So the parallel line would just simply be the same again. It's 5/3. The perpendicular line, we flip the fraction, it becomes 3/5, and we change the sign. It was positive, so it becomes negative. That's it. So now, we have 2 points. We have lines 1 and lines 2, and they pass through given points. Determine if they're parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So what we need to do before we do anything else is find the slope in both cases. So I'm going to do point 1, point 2. So I have 1 minus negative 7 and 4 minus 2. So I get 8/2. I'm just going to leave it like that. And then the second one, I have line 1 and line 2. I have 0 minus 1. And let's see, 1 minus negative 3. So I have negative 1/4. Well, let me simplify this top one and see what I see. 2 goes into 8 4 times, so it's really 4/1. So what kind of slope is this? Well, this guy's 4/1, and this guy is negative the opposite of the fraction. So these guys are perpendicular. Let's try this one. We do the same process. We find the slope for the first pair. So I have negative 1 minus negative 3/4 minus negative 2. That gets me negative 1 minus negative 3 gets me positive 2/6. That's the same as 1/3, right? And let's do the second set. I get 1 minus 2 over negative 3 minus 0. Well, it gets me negative 1 over negative 3. That's the same thing as positive 1 over positive 3. So these guys have the exact same slope. That means they're parallel. All right, let's try one problem with this, or maybe 2, and see what we see. The annual median income, pardon me, median income for males in the United States for select years is shown in the figure. The trend is approximately linear. So basically they drew a line. Find the slope of the line and interpret the meaning. So they want you to find the slope and figure out what the heck it means. So to do that, we first need points, right? So they give us 2. So in 2008, the income was $35,300. I don't think I left myself enough room. All right, let me try that again. In 2008, the median income was $35,300. In 2000, it was $28,300. So let's see, let's make this 0.1. Let's make this 0.2. And we find the slope just like we would. So I'm going to do 35,300 minus 28,300. And I'm going to do 2008 minus 2000. That is going to get me 7,000 on top, divided by 8 on the bottom. And I'm going to do that division. So when I do, I get 875. So now it says, interpret the meaning in the context of the problem. So what does 875 mean? Basically, the answer is 875 over 1. So this means, this is dollars, it was dollars on the top, right? That was the y-axis, and this is time on the bottom. So essentially what happened is the median income generally went up about $875 every year. That's it, okay? Between 2000 and 2008. All right, let's try one more. In the year 2000, the population of Alaska was approximately 630,000 people. By 2010, it had grown to 700,000. Use the pairs and determine the slope of the line through the points. All right, so let's make that 0.1 and that 0.2. So I'm going to do 700,000 minus 630,000 and 2010 minus 2,000. I'm going to get 70,000 divided by 10, and that's going to be 7,000 over 1. So basically, the population increased by about 7,000 people per year. That's it. All right, so move ahead in the module, do what thing tells you to do next. If you have questions, reach out. If you have questions, put them in the discussion. If you have questions, ask for help. Talk to you later.